Okay, I'm back and I have more things to talk about that I saw on TikTok that are related to food, but also to tell you what I ate last week, which was the week of September 22nd, 2025. Okay, so let me go through my list. The first thing is, why do heirloom tomatoes taste like trash? I used to be obsessed with tomato season, tomato sandwiches, tomato and mayonnaise on bread, on toast. If you ever watched Harriet the Spy, she eats tomato and mayonnaise sandwiches. I never understood until I was an adult. And for a long time, maybe it's a misassociation, but that sandwich, tomatoes, mayonnaise on bread, tasted like bacon to me. And lately, the last year and a half or so, I mean, it's always been there, but tomatoes taste like trash. They taste foul. They taste off. They taste like waste or garbage. And I've stopped eating them. They gross me out. I don't know. Brian's theory is that when you buy or when you pick, when for farmers, when they're picking the tomatoes, they pick them just when they start to blush and let them ripen in the grocery store. And he thinks that they sort of start to rot and they appear ripe, but they're really rotting, and that's what you're tasting. As opposed to letting them ripen on the vine, I'm not sure. But anyway, I failed to mention last week, well, I did say it, but I didn't talk about it, that I ate an heirloom tomato on toast, which was sort of a lie because I put it on toast and then I took it off because it tasted so bad. I salted it and put it in the fridge and thought maybe I'll cure it a little bit. It'll taste good for dinner. Put out a bowl of the tomato at dinner and let Brian eat it. And he said, "Why does this taste like trash?" So it was I went to Whole Foods, and I never buy heirloom tomatoes because they're so expensive and we grow tomatoes on our own. Also, tomato season is over, at least in the South. It was a striped heirloom, probably like a striped German. It was very hard. I let it soften a little bit at home, not all the way because I didn't want it to go nasty, but what a waste. Anyway, I'm curious if anybody else has experienced this. Maybe my taste is changing. And it's not just me, because Brian said, why does this taste like trash? It makes me not even want to grow tomatoes anymore. They're so labor intensive at scale. And if you get a bad rain, they're all gone. They're done. So I don't know. I'm not sure about tomatoes anymore, which is really sad because I used to be obsessed with them. I mean, I still am in a way, but they keep letting me down. I really want a really good heirloom tomato. I mean, the summer before last, I guess I had a few really beautiful tomatoes. I don't know. The thing is, they do taste good as a sauce. So all the tomatoes that we grew this summer, I mean, they weren't ideal. The problem is we had a huge dry spell and then a week of rain, and they all crack. The heirlooms crack and they rot. They're not, our tomatoes are field tomatoes. They're not in tunnels. So we pick them and use them for sauce, and they make the best sauce. But is it worth it? Is it worth all that labor? I don't know. Maybe. Okay, so the next thing that I want to talk about that I've talked about before is bean and cheese burritos on TikTok. Oh, shoot. So I wrote down... Okay, so I tried to write down something in Spanish, and of course it auto-corrected. I think the place is called Son del Norte. It's a place in New York, which as someone who lived in New York for 10 years, they have the worst Mexican food on the planet, in my opinion. I don't know why, but it's not good. And I think things have changed. I know this isn't true Mexican, but I would really love to go to Yellow Rose and get their Tex-Mex. But anyway, there's this place, Son del Norte. They have a bean and cheese burrito that everybody on TikTok is losing their mind over. It looks really good. It comes in this, like, I just love watching people unwrap it on TikTok because it's that paper that has the foil on the inside, and they unwrap it and it's sort of crinkly, and then it has like a red stamp all over it of their logo. The packaging alone makes me want the bean burrito. It looks really simple. I don't know. I know people are mad about the commodification. Like, I don't even know what you would say. The Fed is the commodification of the bean and cheese burrito. I mean, it is I don't know. I don't know how to think about it. Okay, so the other thing that I saw on TikTok actually last night, burnt cabbage cornbread. Apparently this was a viral video that I missed. But I've been thinking about cornbread a lot lately. It's fall. I mean, what, is it fall? Yes, it is technically fall. So I think about cornbread this time of year a lot. And I used to make cornbread a lot more because I had access to corn grains, really nice corn grits and polenta from Red Tail Grains, which is, you can order it online. Red Tail Grains, they are a local North Carolina Triangle-based farm grain producer mill. They, rent out land and grow heirloom varieties and grow really good heirloom corn. And they sell like a cornbread mix, pancake mix, all kinds of grains that you can bake with. And when Brian used to work at the farmer's market, I was at the farmer's market more. I just was around them more, and I would always have their products in my house. I just don't anymore, and I need to. They also do, it makes a great Christmas gift. They do like cornbread mixes and, gift tote bag type thing. So I need to make cornbread, and they have a really good cornbread mix, which I have reverse engineered. Obviously, they don't have the recipe available, but on their blog, they sort of talked about how they wanted it to be a mix of the southern cornbread, which is, less sweet and more corn, and then the northern style, which is like a cake, basically. And since I'm from the north, I prefer a fluffy, sweet cornbread, but it is too sweet. I'll say that. I grew up eating Jif boxed cornbread and like the cornbread from Boston Market, which is basically cake. Delicious. So the Red Tail Grain cornbread mix is the perfect mix of both. I've written that recipe out somewhere. I can share it if people are interested. And I made it and I brought it to a Southern Thanksgiving once with people. It was in Richmond, and it was a bunch of like vegan or vegetarian. Anyway, for some of Brian's friends in Richmond, they do a Eastern European themed Thanksgiving every year that is vegetarian and vegan. I went to it one year. No one told me that it was Eastern European themed, so I brought cornbread like an idiot and put it out on the table and was so embarrassed. People started eating the cornbread and was like, "This is good. Who made this?" And I hid in the corner and wouldn't let anybody know that I made it. But people really liked it. So, if I can get a Southern person to like my sweet version of cornbread, I think that's a win. Actually, I take it back. The person who really liked it was from Long Island. So, never mind. Anyway, burnt cabbage cornbread, this person, and I think it's based off of traditional French recipes, You layer a pan with butter and cabbage leaves, and then you cover it, put the cornbread batter in, cover it with more cabbage leaves and butter, and you bake it, and it's encrusted in this burnt cabbage leaf. I don't know if it's necessary, but it looks nice. You really do need like a nice looking Savoy cabbage to make this worth it, I think. I think just using like a regular grocery store cabbage would be a waste of time. But yeah, I do need to make cornbread soon. I just want to. Okay, so the last thing that I saw on TikTok last night, and I'm going to butcher this. It's a German trend, pudding Meatgabel. Pudding Meatgabel. Pudding with fork in German. There's a trend of people eating pudding with forks in Germany right now, which is cool. It reminds me of, or it makes me think it's cool to eat pudding with a fork because it makes you eat it more slowly. You can't eat as much of it at once, and so it makes you enjoy it more, maybe, and you're just getting like prong tastes. But it also made me think of one of my sisters who, growing up, ate Jello pudding cups, and her utensil of choice was a little white plastic dog that came with my Fisher-Price dollhouse from the early 90s. It came with a family of humans, and they had a pet dog. It was white, and he had a red collar. It was like a static figure. It didn't really move or do anything. But my sister used that to eat with. So that's what that reminded me of. Okay, so I'm going to get into what I actually ate. September 22nd, 2025. It was a Monday. 9 a.m. Leftover coffee with half and half and leftover wonton soup. 12:30 p.m. Leftover roasted potatoes with melted garlic and dill cheddar made at home. 2:30 p.m. A bowl of crisped rice cereal with milk. 5:30 p.m. Frozen cheese pizza, romaine lettuce with pecorino romano and creamy Caesar dressing, and a pour of Koenig Pilsner. 6:30 p.m. A spoonful of Bluebell pecan ice cream. Okay. Leftover wonton soup, which I butchered by adding the leftover dumpling sauce, dipping sauce into the broth, and it was too intense and I had to dump it. So I basically just ate wontons for breakfast. They were generous with the wontons, I will say, for that terrible, horrible Chinese food experience that I had last week. I'm exaggerating, but it was bad. Okay. Leftover roasted potatoes with the melted cheese over it, also bad. I threw most of it away. And I did it again this week. It's taken me a while to warm up to potatoes as a concept. I don't know why, but I often don't want to eat potatoes. I think it's like I don't like bananas, I don't like potatoes, I don't like starchy, plain things. They make me feel ill. They make me feel full too quickly and ill. And it's sort of one note. Anyway, I thought I don't have anything in the fridge except these leftover potatoes. Let me put cheese all over them and melt it and they'll be more appetizing. I was wrong. Also, to begin with, I think I over roasted them so then to heat up over roasted potatoes, the texture is not good. Frozen cheese pizza. I'm really into just plain cheese pizza right now. A pour of Koenig Pilsner. I will say, I feel like I'm pronouncing Koenig correctly. It has the O with the slash through it. I don't know. That's like the only type of German word I can say because I studied Turkish with that oh wait, now I can't say it. Koenig. That sound is actually prevalent. And then let's talk about the Bluebell pecan pie ice cream because that was a new flavor for me. So, and actually I had bought it a few weeks ago, but only Brian was eating it. It's good, but it's not what I want to have a bowl of. It is a brown sugar ice cream base, which I think is what they technically use for their cookie two-step variety, which I do eat a lot of. But it doesn't look the same. It's like it has that it has the same coloring as like a butter pecan ice cream. It's basically a butter pecan ice cream. They call it brown sugar, but it has flaky pie crust pieces, pecans, and a gooey pie filling swirl throughout, which was a little too sweet. It was a little too cloying. It tasted like something bad, but I don't know what. Overall, it was a really good flavor, though, I will say. September 23rd, 2025. It was a Tuesday. Counterculture coffee with half and half made at home. 3 sunny eggs with sriracha over olive oil toasted La Farm sourdough made at home. 1 p.m. A bowl of crisped rice cereal and grape nuts with milk. 6 p.m. Chicken soup with leftover white rice, ginger, garlic, chili flakes, soy, sesame oil, and crispy garlic, chives, and sliced lemon made at home. 7 p.m. Bluebell cookie two-step ice cream. Okay, so pretty boring day. Eggs and toast and then cereal. I'm out of bran flakes, so went to Food Line because there's a Food Line next to every Chinese place. When we went and got that Chinese food, I asked Brian to run into Food Line and get bran flakes. He could not find them. He said they were out. I guarantee you they were there. They are really hard to find, the bran flakes box. It's so generic. I do always skip over it. Anyway, he bought grape nuts instead, which in my opinion suck. I don't understand grape nuts. They taste like metal to me. I think bran flakes have a little bit of sweet to them, which I don't want, but I do enjoy the flavor of it. It makes it more palatable. Grape nuts, I mean, I get it. They don't go soggy, but there's something about grape nut cereal, like it makes the cereal taste warm immediately in a gross way. It makes the milk taste warm. Anyway, I needed the fiber, so. Okay, so what I really want to talk about is this soup. So I had a leftover carton of white rice from the Chinese food, and I thought, I've never actually made congee with leftover cooked rice. I've always put raw rice into my congee and stirred it a lot, so it's more glutinous. I mean, that's not the right word, but, more porridge, more gloopy. So what I did here is a mix of my 2 favorite congee recipes, which is the grøt congee from Grøt in Denmark, in Copenhagen, which is just a porridge restaurant where they make a congee with a lot of sesame oil and garlic and ginger that I love. And then the luga from Uncle Mike's in Chicago. And there's a recipe for that actually on the New York Times app, incredibly. And it's super simple. It's just like water, rice, chicken, chicken bouillon flavoring, maybe I don't even know. Like there's nothing in it. And then you top it with lemon slices, and I put like that. You can buy the pre-fried garlic at Asian places. Cover it in that. It's so good and simple. The lemons, slightly bitter. It's really great. So anyway, I sort of made a combination of I combined the 2 recipes. So chicken, which is in both. I added ginger and garlic from the grøt congee, and a little bit of sesame oil, not nearly as much as the grøt congee, because I think they call for like a 1/4 cup. It's like really sesame oil heavy, and it's really good. I added a little chili flakes, which isn't in either. A lot of chicken stock that I made. And then I drizzle soy sauce over the top to serve it with the crispy garlic. I added chives and sliced lemon. And because the rice was cooked, I just sort of put it in the middle of the cooking instead of in the beginning. And it sort of thickened up, but it was a little bit more liquidy and I kind of liked it. So overall, now that I've tested out adding cooked rice to congee, I like it. It's a little bit more like a rice soup, and I appreciated and enjoyed it. So yeah, super simple. And I used well, what oil? I think I used a neutral oil, just like leftover fry oil, and salted some boneless chicken thighs and got a really good char, like deep, like golden brown char on them. Removed it, then added the ginger and garlic with chili flakes, and then deglazed with the chicken stock, homemade chicken stock. Okay. September 24th, 2025. It was a Wednesday, 7 a.m. Counterculture coffee with half and half made at home. 8:30 a.m. Leftover chicken soup. 11:30 a.m. Grilled cheddar cheese with sriracha on olive oil toasted La Farm sourdough made at home. 3 p.m. A small bowl of grape nuts with milk. 6 p.m. Smoked sausage, roasted golden pinto potatoes with olive oil and rosemary, and romaine lettuce with pecorino romano and creamy Caesar dressing made at home. 7 p.m. Bluebell homemade in the shade ice cream. So the leftover chicken soup was great. It had thickened up a little bit in the fridge overnight. I call it soup because it didn't have that congee quality because I used the cooked rice, but it's really congee. It really is. Eating grilled cheese and cereal during the day. I'm sort of in a food rut. I'm, working from home more now, which will change soon, but I don't know. I don't want to cook when I'm at home working, so I'll eat cereal, but I just don't know what to eat during the day. I'm a little bit. I would really just like to eat leftover soup, I think. I don't know. I need to think of something to eat during the day. Sometimes you just get into these food ruts and you just don't know. You don't even want to eat anything. Let's see. In roasted potatoes and had salad and that Texas, I think it's Holmes brand, like pecan wood smoked sausage. It's fine. Tastes like a big hot dog. Yeah, pretty uninteresting day overall. Although homemade in the shade ice cream is still available, so I am eating that and making myself sick off of it. When I find a pocket of the chocolate, the chocolate in the homemade in the shade ice cream, it's vanilla ice cream with like a chocolate sauce distributed throughout, but the chocolate sauce is hardened like a magic shell. And when I find a pocket where the chocolate component is very concentrated, I sort of go nuts and eat a lot of it. I'm also competing for resources because Brian is, for some reason, really needs multiple bowls of ice cream at night right now. So I feel like I need to eat as much of the ice cream as possible. Like, I'm not going to eat as much as him, but I need to get my share of it. So I'm overeating ice cream and getting sick off of it. And not like actually sick, just feeling like that. I feel a bit bad that I ate that. So I need to stop. I actually bought ice cream sandwiches, which I might get into later in the episode, for a sense of portion control. And I'm really disappointed with my selections, which I will talk about later. If I think they occur in this week, we'll find out. Okay. September 25th, 2025. It was a Thursday. 7 a.m. Counterculture coffee with half and half made at home. 11 a.m. 2 sunny eggs with leftover smoked sausage and roast potatoes made at home. 2 p.m. A bowl of shredded wheat with milk. 6 p.m. Spicy big tray chicken with rice noodles and chives made at home. 7 p.m. Bluebell homemade in the shade ice cream. Okay, first of all, I need to add that there were potatoes in the big spicy baked tray chicken, which maybe is a given, but have I talked about spicy baked tray chicken on here before? I don't remember. I think I have. It's available as a recipe on the New York Times app. And so let me start from the beginning. I have these leftover roast potatoes, which I've been complaining about. But with the leftover smoked sausage and with some eggs, it sort of feels like a full breakfast. It sort of feels appropriate. It's not my favorite, but I do love feeling like I'm eating a really full breakfast. Anyway, I went to Whole Foods and they had a huge sale on chicken thighs. Decent, good, air chilled Bell and Evans chicken thighs in those big plastic squares. And I bought 3 packages of them, I think 10 pounds. And I thought, well, my brother-in-law gave me a bottle of Snoop Dog Wine for my birthday. It's a red wine, which is a funny, thoughtful gift. But, and it's funny when he gave it to me for my birthday. Do you know the episode from The Office where it's the dinner party episode, the quote unquote best episode, where Pam brings over a bottle of wine to Jan and Jan says, "Thanks, Pam. This will be great to cook with." And that's exactly what I thought in my head. And actually Brian brought it up. He's like, when you got that bottle of wine, I immediately thought of, and I was like, I thought of the same thing. So mean. I mean, it's okay, well, here's the surprising part about the Snoop Dogg wine. It was corked. It had a cork in it. So that was a shocker. It's a California blend. It was very juicy, almost like it tasted kind of like a Beaujolais. I don't know. It was fine. I mean, it is good to cook with. So anyway, I had all these chicken thighs. I thought I will make coq au vin. And then I thought, well, I don't really have anything else for it. Like I mean, I could just make like a really simple coq au vin, but I don't have like mushrooms or carrots or anything really to like be part of the dish. I really need to go to the grocery store at that point. And Brian said, why don't you make spicy big tray chicken? Of course, because that's his favorite thing, but also because I didn't need to go to the grocery store for it. So it was perfect. And I do need to use up all these potatoes that we have. So I think I'm going to use all 3 packages of chicken thighs to make spicy big tray. So, just be warned. And I am using these golden pinto potatoes up quickly because they are not keeping as well as the other 2 potato varieties that we grew. So I'm trying to use them up as quickly as possible. I really do like them, but unfortunately they just don't have the storage quality that I am looking for. Maybe I'll just grow a smaller amount next time. Okay, so spicy big tray chicken, it kind of takes a long time to make. You're supposed to marinate the chicken thighs in beer. I never do that. I skip that step. I salt them ahead of time though. And the recipe calls for thighs and legs cut up into like 2-inch pieces, which is fine. And I was like, oh man, I'm using whole thighs. I'm not going to butcher these thighs up. Like my cleaver sucks. The bones are always broken. So I just did whole thighs, and it was really good. And I think I'm just going to keep doing that because they shrink down. and they sort of fall off the bone at the end of it. And so whatever. And then you're just left with one whole bone. There's no splintering. You know, like it's just easier. So anyway, I had these chicken thighs, salted them, left them out for an hour to, they were thawing. Just at the end of their thaw, salted them, patted them dry, and then I fried them in 2 batches in about 3 to 4 inches of neutral oil. I think it's peanut oil that I have left over from last Thanksgiving when we were going to deep fry a turkey and then never did because it rained, so we couldn't deep fry something outside. Still made the arancini though, despite that, which were great. Maybe I should talk about that sometime. Made a bunch of arancini. Anyway, so after you do the first fry with the chicken, you're supposed to let it cool down. So actually, I mean, like once you're done with the second batch, the first batch is cooled down, so you can just start over. So double fry, and then you put it in the fridge and let it congeal. And then in the leftover chicken fat in the pot, you fry garlic, fry all of your aromatics, fennel seeds, cumin. There's like a star of anise in there, chili flakes, Szechuan peppercorns. And then once those are properly cooked out, and I leave like a good, 1/4 inch of fry oil. I mean, I remove a lot of the oil but I also leave a decent amount of oil in there, and I think it really needs it. Not a crazy amount, maybe like less than 1/4 cup, but I think it really benefits from a good amount of oil in there. So you fry all that, and at the end you add your doubanjiang, and then fry that out like a tomato paste. Chicken, I added a quart of chicken stock, homemade chicken stock that was really reduced. I always add MSG. The New York Times recipe, they sort of wink at it, but I add the MSG. They don't write, like New York Times I don't think they ever add MSG into their recipes, but I definitely add MSG, sugar, a ton of black pepper. What else? I mean, I could just like read you the recipe, but I've made it enough times at this point that I kind of know it. A little bit of soy sauce, and it also says to boil the potatoes separately in salt water and then add them, which I think is a good tip because, you don't always have enough liquid to fit everything in there. But I like to cook the potatoes in the sauce, and they take on that color, that red color. The sauce is super red. I actually didn't have doubanjiang for a long time. I was using this like black bean paste instead, and it wasn't coming out right. It didn't have that red color, but the potatoes are kind of the best part. I mean, and then you add the chicken back in and let that cook, and it sort of like it soaks in all that flavor. And the double fry going soggy, it's delicious, and the skin is delicious. Yeah, it's amazing. What else do you add? What am I not thinking of? Anyway, it's like it's like so hot, a little bit sweet, such depth, a lot of umami. It's the perfect sauce. And then I used to frustrate myself and try and cook the rice noodles in with everything, but it was too difficult. So I soaked some rice noodles in water for an hour, and then at the last, like as I was ready to serve, just dunk them in some boiling water, and then put those at the bottom of a bowl, and then ladled the soupy potato and chicken mixture over it. And I topped it with like chives that were cut with scissors into like 1/2-inch pieces. It's great. It's one of the best recipes to make, in my opinion. It does it's sort of like a weekend recipe, I will say. Oh, and when you when you add the chicken back into the soupy mixture, it it congeals. So you want to make sure that you get all of that like congealed liquid and fat back into add it to the soup. Yeah, and then you can use rice too, but at the restaurant they serve it with hand pulled noodles, so the rice noodles are really good. I mean, I really and so what I've done in the past too is I do really like to cook the rice noodles in the sauce so that they take on that sauce. So I'll remove the potatoes and the chicken and then put the noodles in the sauce. But then by the time the noodles are right, the chicken and potatoes kind of get a little too cold. I mean, I could time it better, but because the noodles don't need that long to cook. They're rice noodles and they've been soaking. So I don't know. The rice noodles are better when they are cooked in the sauce, as are the potatoes. Okay, I'll stop talking about it. I'm just obsessed with that recipe. September 6th, 2025. It was a Friday. 7 a.m. Counterculture coffee with half and half made at home. 9 a.m. Grilled cheddar cheese with sriracha on olive oil toasted La Farm sourdough made at home. 12 p.m. Crisped rice cereal with milk. 4 p.m. A small glass of iced kilogram ginger and plum tea made at home. 6 p.m. Leftover spicy big tray chicken with jasmine rice made at home. 7 p.m. Bluebell homemade in the shade ice cream. Wow. Sounds like I ate a lot that day, but I really didn't. I had a small grilled cheese with the last of my bread, the smaller pieces, some crisp rice cereal. Kilogram makes tea. I think they are part of Intelligentsia. They make really nice tea blends. It's a little pricey, but good organic tea is expensive. And over the summer, I bought some of their iced blends. Some of their blends intended to be iced, made into iced tea. And I never really utilized them. I mean, they're smaller bags, so I thought, oh, I need to like save this, but I really need to actually just start using them because I guess I could drink the ginger and plum tea hot, but it's nice. It's really deep red purple and really fragrant. I think they do a good job. Had some of the leftover spicy big tray with jasmine rice, which was good. And yeah. September 27th, 2025. It was a Saturday. 7 a.m. Counterculture coffee with half and half made at home. 9 a.m. Fried leftover jasmine rice with leftover potatoes, Frodo red bell pepper, Napa cabbage, scrambled eggs, and chives made at home. 11 a.m. A small glass of leftover iced kilogram ginger and plum tea. 1 p.m. Pappardelle with banner garlic, parsley, and basil butter, black pepper, and pecorino romano made at home, and a small pour of Rodenbach Belgian sour ale. 5 p.m. Chicken soup with celery, carrots, cannellini beans, onion, garlic, pecorino romano, Rodenbach Belgian sour ale, and alimentari rosemary focaccia croutons made at home. 6 p.m. Bluebell homemade in the shade ice cream. 8 p.m. A Blue Bunny ice cream sandwich. Wow, also a big food day. So I made this fried rice for breakfast, which was great. I seasoned it with some chicken bouillon powder, sugar and garlic powder. Really, really good rice. I don't know, that jasmine rice is just beautiful and plump, and the grains are very individual. While I was out of town, I think Brian went somewhere and got Asian produce, and there was like the end of a Napa cabbage, so I used just the end of that. So that was good. 11 a.m. Oh, well, I'll back up. I mean, that's also why I made congee. We have all this ginger in the fridge. So I was like, I need to use this up. And then I think, what is it called? It's like the big white radish that's used a lot in Japanese cooking. Is that too. Anyway, I had some leftover pappardelle, which was wonderful. I love the texture of it. It's so luscious and chewy and just sort of melts in your mouth at the same time. I'm never going to buy Annie's mac and cheese again because this was so simple and good and way better than Annie's mac and cheese. So I just boiled some pasta really quickly, and then I had this compound butter that I've maybe talked about. I bought it on sale at Whole Foods and never really used it. I thought I would save it for nice bread, but I never really have nice bread. It's Banner brand. It was a garlic, parsley, and basil compound butter. And I used a pretty good hunk of it. And then a ton of black pepper, pecorino romano. Super simple and good. And then while I made that, I was making this chicken soup and I needed to deglaze. And I had this leftover can of the Belgian sour ale. So I had a little pour of that and then used the rest to deglaze. It was a little bit too strong for the soup. It sort of made the soup taste more of like a French onion, something that maybe has like a stronger, like a sherry or something in it, where soup, like that style of soup that's like a little heavier, like a more French soup. It made the chicken soup. I wanted like a classic, light, more Italian leaning chicken vegetable heavy soup, and this Belgian sour ale kind of threw that off. Anyway, it was a good chicken soup. Really simple, a lot of celery and carrots and cannellini beans, and I topped it with some pecorino romano. And then so about a month or two ago I went to that, I forget what it's called, transition something food hall in Raleigh, and I talked about Alimentari, which is a collaboration between Mother and Sons, which is Matt Kelly's Italian restaurant in Durham, and Left Bank Butcher, which is a really good butcher shop in Saxe Baja. And if you remember, I slammed this restaurant, Alimentari. Every day I'm like, should I go into the Google review and leave a review? Should I give it 1 star and let people know? Should I warn people that it's a Jimmy John's? That it's an expensive Jimmy John's? It's a $16 sandwich on grocery, like super soft Italian white grocery store bread. It's a Jimmy John's. It's a Wawa. It's like that kind of sandwich, like a fast gas station sandwich. That's what it is. Anyway, while I was there waiting in line to pay, I guess there wasn't a line. That's the first thing. Like there was a line. There were lines at the good places, not at this place. Should have figured that one out. They had a little basket of focaccia, and I bought one. It was $6 for a little bitty round focaccia that, is like maybe good for sharing with 1 or 2 or 3 people. And it was so cute and little. It was like $6, and I was like, okay, I'll buy it. Like, because I was excited. I'd never tried anything here, so I thought it must be good. I love Left Bank Butcher. And if you remember, I accidentally bought more focaccia at Whole Foods, which is actually amazing compared to this focaccia. So I froze this Alimentari focaccia. So I finally defrosted it. I'm out of bread. I was like, let me defrost this and make croutons for the soup. When I cut into the focaccia, I was appalled. And I hate to disparage a restaurant that's just trying to survive, but first of all, Matt Kelly has an empire in Durham. He has a ton of restaurants. People, lament the quality of them. It's a business at this point. And I'm sorry, but if you are charging $6 for a mini loaf of focaccia, you need to be, and it's this quality, you need to be stopped. And people need to be warned. This is consumer protection. I'm a consumer advocate. I cut open the focaccia. I don't even know if they added yeast to it. Like they might have forgotten to add yeast. It was the texture of like a quick bread, like somewhere between like pound cake, tight crumb, and like a scone. It didn't seem like, maybe if they had added yeast, like the yeast was dead or they just didn't let it proof enough. It was definitely underproofed. There was no fermentation to be seen. And without this fermentation, no bubbles, no rise. It was like eating crackers. It was crumbly and dry. I mean, it was like eating a scone. It was ridiculous. And I was just going to toast it and put it over the, just have like a nice piece of focaccia with the soup. And I thought, I can't. This has to be made into either breadcrumbs or croutons. And they were fine as croutons. Like they immediately dissolved when I put them into the hot soup. I mean, even just like the warm soup, they immediately crumbled apart into the soup. Which, if you do that with like a bread that actually has gluten formation and structure, it doesn't do that. I don't even think they needed this dough at all. And I've made focaccia in commercial kitchens before. So I'm speaking here with experience. I've made a lot of focaccia. You really need to build strength, and it takes a long time, like at least a whole day, to like make a really nice fluffy focaccia with a rise and those big airy pockets that you want. And I mean, that's what a focaccia is, not this. It was ridiculous. They need to stop. They need to close their restaurant down. It was that bad. I couldn't believe it. Do not purchase anything from this place. They need to either shut down or hire someone. I just don't understand how you open a restaurant and it's not like it's their first restaurant. They have dozens of restaurants at this point. I mean, I don't know if it's dozens. They have a lot of restaurants. Vin Rouge, the French place that I went to, that's a Matt Kelly restaurant. Like, it was decent. I don't understand how you get to that point where you're putting out product like that. And like, is anybody, I don't know. But I was appalled. And do not eat at Elementary in Raleigh, North Carolina. It's a waste of money. It's a waste of your time. The bread wasn't even good enough to make croutons out of. And I paid $6 for it. Okay, so let's talk about how bad these ice cream sandwiches were. So I bought 2 boxes of ice cream sandwiches. Both of these brands were on sale, which should have been a sign. I got a Klondike brand ice cream sandwich and I got a Blue Bunny brand ice cream sandwich, which was a mistake. I meant to get classic Klondike bars and ice cream sandwiches. I made a mistake. They were both, I mean, they both tasted the same. I'm sure they were made at the same factory, same commercial partner kitchen or whatever. Bad. I don't know what it is, but the ice cream doesn't melt. It's a weird texture where it's sort of held together like chalk. Like you can break the sandwich in half and it's like you're breaking a stick of chalk in half. And it sort of has like a bouncy, gelatinous, marshmallowy texture instead of the texture of ice cream. I know why they're doing that, so it holds its shape, but it's not good and it doesn't melt. It's sort of like a Turkish ice cream. And I don't want that. The whole point of eating an ice cream sandwich, in my mind, is when the ice cream starts to melt and get a little soft and you eat around the edges. You follow the soft. So you eat the soft edges, and then as you finally get all that taken care of, the middle starts to melt, and then you could get that softness. That's why I want to eat an ice cream sandwich. So when they've engineered the ice cream to stay as a gelatinous block, there's no point in eating it anymore. So I went on Reddit and I was like, what ice cream sandwiches are good anymore if they're all going to be like this? And people were really raving about these Trader Joe ice cream sandwiches, which is out of the question for me. I live at least an hour away from Trader Joe, so I can't buy ice cream there unless I'm going to like invest in a nice cooler. People said Whole Foods. There was some debate about the Whole Foods store brand. I think I've had them. I think they're good. I don't remember. And then someone said, actually, the Walmart store brand are surprisingly good. And actually, that is true. And I do live like in a reasonable distance from a Walmart where I could buy ice cream from them, I think. And I did buy, I don't remember, it was like the Walmart store brand or like some other cheap Walmart brand or like Walmart product available at Walmart. I bought some like 24 pack of cheap ice cream sandwiches at Walmart. I remember them being good and being surprised. So I need to do some more investigation. I need like a more real ice cream that melts in an ice cream sandwich. So that's going to be maybe my next mission, my next pursuit. I need to find out within driving distance from my house, what's a good ice cream sandwich? My definition of a good ice cream sandwich. Okay. September 28th, 2025. It was a Sunday. 9 a.m. Counterculture coffee with half and half. And 2 sunny eggs poached in banner, garlic, parsley, and basil butter over olive oil roasted potatoes and baby arugula made at home. 2 p.m. Bucatini with beef and pork meatballs in red sauce made with Snoop Dog red wine, oregano, basil, and pecorino romano made at home. 3:30 p.m. Bluebell homemade in the shade ice cream. 5 p.m. a Klondike ice cream sandwich. 7 p.m. popcorn with banner, garlic, parsley, and basil butter made at home. Okay, so I was trying to like save this precious, expensive compound butter. First of all, I got it on sale. It might have also been cultured. I don't remember. I was trying to save this precious garlic, and I was like, you know what? Let me just use it this weekend. Like, whatever. It's also getting old, and it looks like it's getting old. So I used a decent amount of it to poach 4 eggs, 2 for me, 2 for Brian. Poured that over roasted potatoes and baby arugula. It was a decent breakfast. And then I made meatballs. So, actually, let me pause. Sorry, I had to Google what kind of bucatini this was. So I got it for Christmas. My mom likes to get like nice imported Italian pasta varieties for us for Christmas. So it's this Faella brand. It came in a 1 kilogram package. It's like a white bag and really thick. It's like a Durham hard wheat pasta. And it was really nice looking. I mean, it's a quality pasta. The weirdest thing about it was, there are words all over this bag, and I studied Italian. I can like decipher what's going on. Nowhere on the bag did it say bucatini. It's clearly bucatini, and when I Google it, it comes up as a product, but nowhere on the bag did it. It was so confusing. I was like, how do you sell a product and how do you sell pasta and not tell people what it is? I mean, it's called, oh, because it's called spaghettoni? I don't know. No, maybe, no, it was definitely a bucatini. So, anyway, yeah, the bag does not tell you. Oh, I see what the problem is. Okay, so there's a space on the bag where they're supposed to stamp what the variety is. I see. And they didn't stamp mine. Okay. That makes more sense. Yeah, I'm seeing product photos online. Where, yeah, they're clearly supposed to put a stamp on there, I guess, of what it is. Still a little bit strange. That someone's like physically stamping bags. But maybe, so anyway, so I had this bucatini. I was like, let me use it. Like, it's almost been a year. I mean, it doesn't expire for a while, but the bucatini was so hard to eat. I cooked it al dente. I mean, I used a fork, then I switched to chopsticks, then I switched back to a fork. Brian was struggling. It was so hard to eat. It was like flopping around like a pool noodle. It was like, how do people eat this? It was so weird, and like it was flopping all over the place and like flinging sauce. We had to eat with rags because it was just flinging tomato sauce all over the place. It was ridiculous. I only used 1 pound of it. Well, it was like 2.2 pounds, so I used 1.1 pounds. So I still have a glorious 1.1 pound to go. Maybe I'll bake it in something because it was impossible to eat. Okay. Actually, it would be really good in like a baked situation where it could absorb that sauce, and then you could just sort of like cut it like a lasagna. Yeah, maybe I'll do that. Okay. So made meatballs. That was my big project of the day. I had a pound of beef, and then I had a pound of sweet Italian sausage, which actually I need to edit that. Sweet instead of pork. Sweet Italian sausage. And I was like, let me mix them and make a big batch of meatballs. Because if you're going to make meatballs, you might as well make a big batch. And first of all, let me say, it is impossible to find ground pork in my area. The only like plain ground pork, like quality ground pork, you can get at Whole Foods, you can get it at Asian markets, but at Food Lion, they don't sell ground pork, and I don't know why. Maybe people don't buy it, but so when I do find ground pork out in the wild, especially if it's on sale, I jump on it. Food Lion really just sells flavored ground pork, like ground sausage or like whatever. It's annoying. So anyway, that's why I made meatballs with a sweet Italian sausage instead of, just ground pork. But it was fine. I mean, it was flavored. So I mixed, well, first of all, I cracked 2 eggs into a bowl with about half a cup of yogurt. Mix those together with garlic powder, decent amount of salt, some black pepper, about a third of a cup of pecorino romano, about half a cup of breadcrumbs, maybe more. And I used the 4-cup brand, like the seasoned Italian breadcrumbs with parsley and pecorino romano. Then both the ground meats, and what else did I add? I mean, it's simple. I do like to add yogurt or like a sour cream if I have it. Make it I think it makes it really tender. I'm trying to think if there was anything else in the meatballs. No, I mean, I feel like I kept it simple, especially because the Italian sausage was already flavored. It had fennel in there. So, made them into, I don't know, like a little bit larger than a golf ball sized meatballs. Because originally I thought I was going to do a pasta bake with them. So I sort of wanted to nestle them and be able to divide it up for lunches. And then I thought, oh, I'll just make a sauce. So I took the meatballs out. They weren't cooked all the way through. They were just charred on two sides. And then I cooked an onion and garlic in the leftover meatball residue fat, deglazed with the glorious Snoop Dog wine. And then I added a jar of passata, fresh oregano from the garden, fresh basil from the garden. And I mean, super simple sauce, really. Just a tomato and wine sauce. And the fat from the meatballs and, some olive oil in the beginning to fry the meatballs in. And then I nestled the meatballs back in, let them simmer in the sauce for about, 30, 45 minutes. Sauce was really nice. It got a little too thick and I added some water at the end, but it was nice and rich. And I cooked some bucatini to almost al dente, and then I put it in a big metal bowl with a little bit of sauce just to mix it up. Because just like the chicken or the big spicy tray chicken, I want to cook the noodles in the sauce, but there are all these other things in there, so I can't. So I put a double boiler. I put this big metal bowl over the hot pasta water, put the pasta in the bowl. So it was like kind of off the heat, kind of on the heat, which I've never done before. And I was like, why don't people finish pasta over a double boiler more often? Like, this is kind of genius. So I made a double boiler with the leftover pasta water, put a little bit of the leftover pasta water in with the bucatini in the big metal bowl with a little bit of sauce, mixed it. And then I plated that out into two, to-go containers, 2 Tupperware containers for lunch, and then a bowl for me, a bowl for Brian. And so it was nicely mixed in, a little pre-mixed with the sauce, and then spooned the meatball sauce mixture over that, and then topped it with some pecorino romano and black pepper. And, besides the bucatini, like, it was like literally like wrestling with a pool noodle in a pool. You know how it just like flops around and sort of like it whacks you in the face? That's what it felt like. Klondike ice cream sandwich, same thing. It's an issue. And I will be reporting back with hopefully some better options in the future. Made some popcorn late at night because we didn't really eat dinner besides 2 servings of ice cream. So made some popcorn on the stove with that, just a little bit of oil and salt, and then popped about a cup of popcorn in a stainless steel, and actually my pasta pot. I use that for popcorn. And I have like a little, I forget what the company is, but it's like a European company that makes metalware, like enamel metalware for the kitchen. My mom got me like a little tiny pot from them it's like a milk pot to warm milk, and it has a little spout. I love to melt. I never actually use it for milk because I'm not making like more milk. But I am melting butter and flavoring butter, and I use it for that, and it's perfect. And then you can just pour it over the popcorn. Popcorn was like a little overdone, but it was good with that compound butter over it. And I make like a little small bowl for myself, and then Brian eats like 90% of it. Okay, so that was the week. Thank you so much for listening. Oh, I went over an hour today. That's kind of nuts. I really didn't eat anything exciting. I didn't even go out to eat, if you noticed. But I did have a lot to say about TikTok, and I do always need to complain at least once a month about Alimentari and warn you not to go there. So thanks for listening, and I gotta go. Bye.